The legend of Spring-Heeled Jack, which has become part of the urban legends and folklore of Victorian times, and certainly was a very big deal in Victorian London, where it originated. So, the first reported sightings of this, some say, supernatural entity was in 1837, and these continued throughout the entire century of the 1800s. The last reported sighting was in 1904. So, what was Spring-Heeled Jack, if you're not familiar? So, this was, from victims that cited him, he was a tall, thin man. He wore a cape, an oilskin kind of suit, sometimes it's reported, beneath the cape. Some say that he was spitting out blue flames, but he got the name Spring-Heeled Jack because he could apparently leap extraordinary distances that would be, inhuman for someone without them breaking their legs. So the first sightings and reports came from servant girls who were walking home late at night. And this was pretty much like, what we'd consider sexual assaults nowadays. These women were set upon by this person, this thing, and he would tear at them, tear at their clothes, grope them, etc. He was said to have, large, clammy, cold hands that had claws on the end. And he would sort of try to force himself on them. And, often these poor women would be, sent into reportedly fits and shock, and were never able to regain their senses afterwards. So they were basically, physically assaulted, sexually assaulted. There's some images behind me there. It became very much part of the folklore. It became a sort of subject of mass hysteria at the time because this person, this thing, was never identified, never captured. Rewards were put out. It was reported in the Times, to find this individual. And, excuse me, very quickly over the century, because the sighting started off in southeast London, in suburban areas. It spread to other suburban areas, other parts of London, but also as far afield as Devon, Scotland, the northeast, etc. So who was this person? I mean, there's been a lot of speculation about who it might have been. It's become a bit, similar to Jack the Ripper in a way, in terms of never being identified. It's thought, the sort of prevailing theory is that it was started by a group of unruly aristocrats, particularly the Marquis of Waterford, who was known for being, as a young man, inclined to brawling and pranks and just general bad behaviour, particularly with women. He was a bit of a, sort of wannabe rapist, really. And it was believed that he was fond of sort of springing out at unsuspecting people and playing horrible pranks on them. So it's believed that he might have started it, although by 1849 he was sort of settled in Ireland and married. So it's unlikely that he continued this rampage. It's probably very likely that there were many copycats. Sexual assault was not uncommon in those days. There was, not really very good street lighting, no CCTV. It's very easy for people to get away with this and to sort of become part of this legend, if you like. What I think is interesting is that quite a few reports of Spring-Heeled Jack sort of refer to him as being dressed like a policeman with a helmet and the black cloak that they wore, and carrying a blue lantern, which was how they were often seen. There are reports of him spitting blue fire, but I wonder if that sort of mixed in with the blue light that he carried. So I do wonder whether he was a rogue cop as well, or at least one of the attackers was a rogue cop. Let's face it, we've seen plenty of those in recent years, haven't we? The occult sort of side of it suggests that he might have been a supernatural entity, a demon, a devil. You can see there that the cartoons, the propaganda at the time certainly depicted him in this way. But I think it's probably more likely. I'm not discounting the fact that there might be a paranormal element to this. Who knows? But But I think it's likely that maybe this was one person that perhaps started this, and then, other people kind of jumped onto the legend and used it to further their, twisted desires to attack women. Men were also sometimes attacked as well, perhaps not as brutally. Some suggestions have linked him to Jack the Ripper, although that would have made him a very old man if it was the same person, because of course the Jack the Ripper murders happened in the very late Victorian period, 1880s, and this was happening from the 1830s onwards. The last reported sighting was actually in 1904 in Merseyside. So by this point, Spring Hill Jack or his followers or whatever, maybe there was a gang of them, had moved up to the northwest of England. So we don't know. Like Jack the Ripper, we still don't know who or what Spring-Heeled Jack was. And it's certainly become a subject of a lot of, interest by fiction writers. It's featured in, you can see there's a novel there behind me, Philip Pullman. This story is featured in, and Penny Dreadfuls, etc. at the time, and was a subject of what some say was sort of the mass hysteria, similar to, what happened during the witch hunts and mass panic, etc., where people kind of exaggerate, just standard attacks, if you like, and turn it into something much more. So if you are interested in the Victorian era and interested in crime, particularly crime perpetrated by women at that time, I'm running a new tour called Jailbirds of Old London, which includes stories of women criminals, real women criminals from that time, and how they were dealt with by the criminal justice system. And this walking tour takes place on the 2nd and 22nd of July in London. And it includes street theatre as well as history. And you get to see the places in London linked with these famous crimes. So if you like true crime, folklore as well, then definitely check that out. I will put the link below in the description for you. But you can also visit my website as well, and all the details are on there. Thank you very much. See you soon.